Hello everyone! Welcome back to Hermitcraft, where things are getting very muddy. Brian and I have been mudifying this entire lake between us for quite a while. And I suspect we still have quite a ways to go after this because, you know, we're gonna have to terraform the rest of it with some rocks and some more greenery and things. It can't just be mud, but boy does it look so much better already with this amount of mud. It's been a little while since I've made an episode, and that's because I was waiting for an idea to hit me in the face. And I'm very proud to say an idea has finally struck me. I would consider things around my base to be looking pretty good. We even have a lot of interiors done. We have a lot of custom terrain and trees. There's only really a couple of areas around here that I have left to fill in. And one of these areas is super duper important. This is my nether portal. I have to say this because I literally never use it, and I don't think a single other person on the server uses it either, but there it is. Cub was here. Cub uses it. One person uses it. Okay, great. This bridge famously leads inside the fortress, which you'll notice has a floor now and a ceiling. Ah yeah, we're moving up in the world. Today we're working on interior. And what I love the most about this base is this interior is going to be very different from my usual sort of style. You see, whenever you build a fortress that looks like this, you kind of have an idea in your brain of what the interior is going to look like. However, as we have established, this is a medieval sort of fortress that's been taken over by sort of more modern technology. It's got a satellite on top and pipes coming out of it, and this is some electricity. Basically, what I'm saying is this interior doesn't have to have a throne room and a grand library and all of the things that you'd expect to find in a castle. Instead, this interior is going to have some sort of, well, a laboratory, I think. And in order to get going on this, I'm gonna need a couple of different floors. So we're gonna have that one down there and then this one here. Now that the ceiling is pretty much in, we have this big main room to tackle. And tackle it we shall. I have a lot of blocks here, as you can see, lots of little detail-y bits. I'm sure we'll need more as time goes on as well, but I figured that would be a good starting point. And the first thing I want to do with a space this big and this empty is basically just add some shape, some dimension. We already have where our staircase is going to go up right here, and I do need to finish that and put stairs in. Perfect, flawless, nailed it. Now, the rest of the shapes. I want more entrances. See, right now we have this one entrance and it leads to our portal, but it's generally not really flowy with the rest of the base, so we need a staircase over here. As you can see, I got a little hole in the ground over here because I kind of already planned this. We need a staircase here that leads us down into the rest of the base, and I also want a doorway. May not make too much sense why I want a doorway until you look over here. Although those pesky snails are probably on their own adventure right now, this is where they landed. And it feels fitting that the researcher who lives here would want to research that. So what we need is a doorway right here, I think. Yeah, probably right here. And then we'll just have kind of like a little path that loops around and connects us over. Of course, we'll have to adjust the terrain a bit as we go. This will be great to also flow over towards Tango's base, because we don't have that many points of connection with Tango yet. Weirdly, I'm kind of most nervous about this downward staircase. Oh my gosh! Well, at least it works. Oh, come on, dude. It's not like I meant to look at you. You looked at me. It doesn't even count. All right, disregard angry Enderman noises for a moment. I think the downward staircase is probably going to have to turn a couple of times, like here. If you remember from before when we were building this fortress, I had a doorway put in the side, and that's what this is going to connect to, right here. There we go. Now we have a proper entrance from the little side here, so we can get in from the bridge, from the back of Tango's base, and from, well, inside our pickle farm at the moment, but yeah, from a proper entranceway right here. And now that we have our entrances established, it's much easier for me to decide the flow of the room. Staircase here, doorway there, staircase there. We have a lot of space in this big rectangular section here. The next problem is that this very much just looks like a giant box. And to help with that, we're gonna need to add a bunch of shapes. 1, 2, 3, starting with the fact that this is meant to be the inside of a fortress, and right now, well, it's not really looking like that, is it? If this is truly to be a fortress that was turned into a laboratory, then it would probably have big, epic pillars all throughout the fortress. These pillars should be able to add quite a bit of shape to our design. The tricky part about this is that I actually want these pillars to extend all the way along the ceiling. This may be a job for some scaffolding. What I've created here so far is Scar's nightmare, but I want a lot of details in the ceiling, and honestly, a platform of scaffolding is by far the easiest way to do this. And as you can see, pillars are also going in. I imagine in the old days, these would have banners on them, and there would be maybe a big table for feasts, or maybe a throne room. But of course, in this build, we are not in the old days, so we get to build things a little bit differently here. Where a throne room or a feast hall would be at one point, we are now going to be a little bit more creative. We're going to add in pipes and electricity and, you know, a bunch of other horrible things, and hopefully turn this into a sort of makeshift laboratory that's very, very run down. I'm building kind of the oldest part of the build first so that the story is a bit easier to tell. And as we add in the laboratory bits, they'll look like they're added into the more medieval bits. Hopefully, anyway. Basic beams are officially in. This is a big, giant medieval room. Now we are going to make it a little bit of a messed up sci-fi project. Let's go. What I have here is bone block and a little bit of mushroom stem. And this is going to be sort of our plaster that's going on the walls, not in every spot. You'll notice I did this pillar in one, and that's just to leave a bit of space for the doorway, honestly, because it's a bit narrow coming through here otherwise. But in these spots over here, we're gonna do just a little bit of plaster to cover up the old stone. It'll also just add a bit of contrast in here, which I do think we're kind of sorely missing. This is so satisfying. In a room like this, in a room of this size, one of the biggest obstacles I'm going to have to overcome is actually just the lighting. Now, it's gotten a lot better in recent updates because I don't need everything to be above a certain light level, but I don't want things to spawn, and I don't want it to look too dingy. Although, let's be real with the theme, a little bit of dinginess never hurt anybody. I'm going to actually use shroom lights. Mostly because Etho's out of stock of frog lights. And basically, I'm gonna just try to create some ceiling lights here. And I'm gonna cover this up. This texture, we're gonna cover it up. And I actually think we're gonna cover it up by including a lot of copper. Specifically, well, I find it, oxidized copper. Hold on, I get a little bit more. Here we are, oxidized copper. I think this is gonna look great over the top. Wasn't an intentional pun, but this great is going to look great. That's just a fact. I am going to need to shave these down just a touch though. Combining this with some other copper bits to add a little bit of depth. Hopefully with this, I'll be able to turn this into a somewhat interesting ceiling. Etho claims his frog lights are in stock, but I swear I was scammed the other day, so I'm gonna go check, because I do really need frog lights for this build.
Gem? It's working.
It is working. Why is it working today?
Okay, I'll admit I don't know what happened. It was empty. It was empty.
It was empty, Etho!
But I have like an automatic like shulker system here, so it should have ejected the next one, but it didn't. So I'm gonna blame a server reset or someone tampering with the shop.
Sure, of course, because it could never be you.
It could never be me, no.
Yeah,
My redstone's
angel with
always.
perfect redstone every time. Yeah. Right, frog lights acquired. Admittedly, I was going to use these in the ceiling where the shroom lights currently are, but the shroom lights look pretty good, so we'll use these in another spot. I think I'm gonna be able to use these frog lights immediately, actually, because one of the things I want to put in here, my main idea actually, is these heads. I got these from the charity event when Jimmy and Martin were online. So these are pretty rare heads on the server, and I'm thinking we could put these boys in some test tubes. Of course, obviously, that's the obvious thing to do. So here's the plan. A little test tube, subjects over here. And I'm gonna use a lot of copper for this. I think copper is kind of the perfect block for this sort of setting. And then we're gonna put an armor stand in each one, like so. And honestly, we might have these armor stands floating a little bit, but I think just to start us off, I'm going to encase them in glass. Here we are. Our first little bits of furniture are officially in. Some sort of human-sized test tubes. Because obviously we need human-sized test tubes. I mean, what else will we be doing in here? Now, there are tubes on the outside of this building, and I think it's pretty important that these tubes kind of connect to that, maybe through the ceiling somehow. And I'd also really like these tubes to connect together. Basically, wherever I have a joint in this, I put one of these little chiseled ones. And of course, we're also gonna go around with some beeswax and kind of make these look older, I guess, or more worn down and weathered. It'll just add to the whole effect in the place. Okay, I know there's a lot of scaffolding in the view, but I can already see that that is such a nice accent to that corner. It really ties in with the ceiling grates we've already done. And speaking of, there's probably a lot of, random fluids and things going on around here. So I want some grates actually in the floor as well. We may have to put something actually underneath this, but just for now, a little extra drainage never hurt anybody. The tubes are admittedly kind of my main idea for this room, so otherwise, I'm just gonna be doing like a bunch of desks, maybe computers. I was actually looking up some like 80s computer servers. I don't know what I'm doing, dude. I thought it would maybe be cool to have something like that going on, so we have options here on what we can do, but I think definitely some desks, definitely some hanging lighting, and then it's just about nailing the overall vibe. And speaking of overall vibe, some pipes in the ceiling, of course. Obviously. This one, let's do that, and let's do a furnace in the wall, and ooh, this might be tricky. And then we need to lay the hopper pointing into that wall. Got it. Yeah, that looks great. For the next couple of hours, I basically just tinkered with this room while chatting to a bunch of the other hermits. So there's not a lot of footage here, but it was a lot of fun to do. Working while hanging out with friends is not always the most productive, but it is very fun, and this room is certainly coming together. I do have a bunch more ideas, though, to really finish things off. And as you can see, we still have a bunch of torch spam and stuff, so yeah, we have work to do. I borrowed some of the pale hanging moss vine thing from Scar, and those look fantastic. They go so good with the andesite. And then from that, I decided to make these areas where maybe the pipe is leaking, so we could maybe put some like brown coloring here for some rust. And then what I've got is pale moss, right? And then off of that, we could be growing some coral, and it'll die, yeah. And then it'll kind of blend in with things around here. I mean, look at this. That one's gonna look pretty good, I think. And then some of the coral fans to like mix up the color. And we could also put it on the walls. I think this will look fantastic as little details in the floor. And speaking of details in the floor, I actually have to tell you how I came up with this whole concept, because the inspiration struck me relatively suddenly, and it happened when I saw this block. This is chiseled tuff, which looks great, but especially from the top down view, it just, I don't know, it almost for some reason gave me like Stranger Things vibes, where it's like this twirly pattern. So I thought maybe we could incorporate this into the flooring as well, at least maybe on this half of the room. I'm not exactly sure. Now, while we're worrying about some of the smaller details, I also kind of need to get everything to the appropriate oxidization level, and I'm not even really sure exactly what that is, but maybe around this, basically? Because I think that's just a little bit too blue. It's also a little bit too dark. I think we need some lichen. Luckily, I have a neighbor who has no shortage of lichen, at least the last time I checked. Yep, he's still got some. Thanks, Grant. They've added so much foliage to the game lately that it's almost a little bit tricky to remember what it all is so that you can make use of it. But honestly, this glow lichen is going to make such a huge difference up here because we don't need to have any lights up here now. It just won't be spawnable, which is great. Also gonna bring this stuff to the correct level. This is oddly satisfying. Just the color variance on that and a little bit of lichen has made a huge difference, actually, because it's gonna make the inside of the tube glow if everything else is kind of darker, and then this is very bright. Moment of truth. Jimmy and Martin. I don't have the armor stand mod on right now, so I need to put it on so that I can kind of raise them up a little bit. I think that'll be good. At this point, this is basically just a lot of back and forth for me, going to my shulker boxes, figuring out which blocks I want to use next for which details, and just trying to kind of implement them as best I can. So far, I actually think this is going really well. I'm proud to say that this interior is nearly complete. Oh, I do need to beeswax those and get them looking a little, better. But the next step, most importantly, is to use the armor stand poser mod to do something with these armor stands. No base plate, I think, and we're also not going to want any gravity. Then I think we're just going to, raise them up a little bit. Okay, I think this is gonna be kind of spooky. I'm gonna get some armor on them, but that should look pretty cool, I think, in the end. Come here, Jimmy. Let's get you going as well. Oh my gosh, this looks so freaky. Okay, all we need is the 4 pieces of glass and then some clothing for them, which I think I still have leather from my cow farm in the early game in my storage room. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. This'll work. Now, all I need is 2 pairs of leggings, 2 chest pieces, and some boots. Here we go. Everybody gets their outfits. Pink shoes for Jimmy, of course, and white shoes for Martin. Then we just close them in. Oh my gosh, that really was a finishing touch for this room. I love it. I feel like a mad scientist already, and I don't even have my lab coat on.
How do I get in? Oh, there is a door.
There's so many doors.
Ooh.
I'm doing science.
You are doing science. You got a laboratory in your fortress.
Yeah.
Poor Jim. Poor Martin. What are you doing? This reminds me of, like, Gen 1 Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of giving me Stranger Things vibes in here, but
Yeah.
I wanted to make a medieval fortress that actually had a lab in it.
What are you doing to them?
Stuff.
So, you wanted to show me, and you're not going to tell me why?
Well, I just wanted you to see it, really, mostly.
Uh-huh. And then I'm going to come back here 2 weeks later, and there's going to be monsters in the tube, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wonderful
know
things
why
are
they're in the
happening
tube.
here.
It's upstairs.
Nothing. I'm
Lots.
still working, Gran. I'm still working. It's a big room.
It is a big room. Nope.
It's a really big room. Okay?
It's a really big room.
It's a lot of space in here, Gran. I've done one room. That's what I've had time for. It's one room.
So what's the logic here? I'm following the pipe. So it's not just like a one-to-one. There, it goes into the walls, and then it goes into the ceiling, then it goes into that thing up there. Now, I know you've thought every facet of this through, right?
For sure, none of it is just for looks. It all makes sense. So we're pumping water from the bay.
Uh-huh.
Importantly, because there's a horrible sea monster in there, and we want to see what it does to them.
Uh-huh. Okay. So we're gonna at some point, we're going to see some horrible sea monsters in these tubes instead of them.
Potentially, yeah, that'd be cool. Well, with this room finally finished, now we need to work on all of the connectors, because in order for people to get to this room at the moment, they might end up walking through here, which is, well, not ideal. It's a bit ugly, admittedly. I think we could do something better, and it won't actually take too long. Passageway complete. Don't actually need these torches though. There we go. Now that this is all sort of tied together, it's time to work on the next very important room, which honestly I wasn't really planning on doing in this episode, but I've had an idea. If the lore is that there's water being pumped through these pipes and, you know, experiments are happening, then I want there to be a big, basically fish tank up here. I don't know exactly what we're gonna keep in that fish tank yet, but I do know that we're gonna have to start by giving this room the exact same treatment we gave this room. And here we are, just like magic, the beams from the bottom now continue up here, and I've also added a wallpaper and a couple of windows. Now I need to put the outside decoration around them, but I think these add a lot to this side, and also they give us some natural light, which is sorely needed. Next up on the list though, my actual plan for up here, and Grian actually gave me this plan. It's nice having people come over and look at your work and comment on it, because it sometimes gives ideas, and actually the idea that he gave me is that I should put an aquarium up here. And since I have a zookeeper living next door, that actually shouldn't be too hard. All I gotta do is build the tank in the center. Circles can be tricky. You just gotta do a straight line from the center and then build off of that. With that, this should be a big enough tank. I'm gonna add all of the details a bit later on when I have plans for the inside, but what I think I'll do is probably have this go all the way to the ceiling, kind of connect it in a fun way, and then we'll open up the ceiling so that Scar, or, well, potentially me if Scar doesn't want the job, somebody can drop in some maybe guardians or something into this fish tank really easily. Yep, this is gonna be really cool, I think. And then up here we'll have a ton more pipes and research desks and stuff, and I think it'll all tie in together really well. I've decided to play around with some piping. So obviously unfinished, the tank still needs a lot of work, but I've got this copper kind of coming around and I've linked this pipe through the staircase into this pipe so that these are very clearly connected together because this is such an open staircase. I feel like that really, when you're down here now, it kind of draws your eye up to be like, where is that going? And then maybe investigate a little further. I don't know. What I do know is that we really need some guardians in there to, you know, sell the whole effect. So, it's time to talk to the zoo man. The zoo man being Scar, of course. I believe this is Scar's zoo shop. Hey, Scar.
Well, hello there. Oh, hold on. Change of wardrobe. Oh, wait, that's my fighting clothes. Hold on. That's my sporting clothes. And the mob boss is here. Hello, Gem.
Oh. Gosh, okay. 4 changes of clothes. What a treat. Wow.
So that's my fighting one. That's what I need to do, go into a brawl. And then there's the sporting one, right? That's for when you're playing volleyball and stuff like that. But this, the business suit.
Right. Well, lucky for you, I have some diamonds in my pocket and a need for a zookeeper.
Hold on, we gotta do it right, Jeb. We gotta do it right.
Okay, all right.
You gotta go up the tedious elevator. It
Wait.
used to work in 1920.
In 1920? How old are you?
Wait, no. Wait, hold on. Oh, jeez, I'm about to drown. No. I
At
bought
least
the building.
100.
You get out.
I didn't mean it. I know, it's your grandfather's store or something. Whatever.
Yes, of course. Very of course. So, Jen, you're in need of mobs, I hear.
Yes. Yes. Wow, this is an ominous office you have here.
A little intimidating, right?
Yeah, well, I do need a mob. I need an aquatic mob.
Oh, really?
I've just built a giant aquarium. And I need a guardian or 2 or 3.
Okay, guardians.
Yeah.
Okay, I wonder if Tango can get me guardians again. How does one get guardians?
Wait,
like,
am
would
I
you
paying
put them in a
Tango?
boat? No, me, of course, me. Of course, I'm an expert at this type of stuff.
Right.
Oh, Gem, you'll be so surprised at the speed, efficiency that I can bring you these guardians.
Okay.
Is Tango online? No, he's not. Okay. How soon do you need these mobs?
Oh, no rush. No rush. Just, a month deadline.
Okay, that works. Do you have the location for the guardians? So, like, do you want them in the aquarium? Do you want them set aside to build out the aquarium? Like,
Oh, no,
where
I've
do
given you a
want?
rooftop entrance and all. You want to see?
I absolutely want to see. And there's no window, so we can just fly right on through.
Oh, of course we can. Ow. Right up top, Scar.
Ooh. Oh, so I just need to dunk them in the water right here?
Yeah, this is the aquarium for them. Now, if you want to just leave them in boats up here, that's also fine. But yeah, they can come into this aquarium here.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, all right, this is actually super perfect. This will be very easy to get them in here. Because if it had to go underground and around a corner, I'd be like, okay, I gotta really figure out how to do this. I can just fly this right in and drop them in. This is
it
amazing.
should be easy. You just drop them on top of the roof here. There's hardly any obstacles. Giant satellite, that's not a big deal, surely.
No. There's plenty of room. Now, any other mobs? Any other aquatic friends for this exhibit?
No. You see, I was going to ask you for an elder guardian, but I thought that might really upset Tango. Because of the
Wait,
mining fatigue.
You don't want to upset him? Oh, it'd be so fun.
He wouldn't be able to mine anymore. And it might also reach Grian and Skiz, and I don't want to upset Grian.
No, I was going to say it'd be fun to upset Skiz, but Grian, maybe not. Maybe not.
3 enemies in one, maybe not. But yeah, Guardians it'll have to be because I think the Guardians will kill everything else.
It would be so funny if Skiz got mining fatigue. I bet he doesn't know what mining fatigue is, and he'd just be like
God.
this. He'd just be at like Stone going,
Oh my
God.
Oh my God. Well,
Oh, it'd be so funny.
I wonder what the range on it is. I've never looked it up, but I don't know if it would reach him.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, Gem, at some point we're going to prank Skiz with that. I just want to see him try to mine and just completely oblivious. Oh, it'd be a delight.
He
Oh,
would
it'd be
not
wonderful.
expect it to be here either.
Just, whoosh-ow, schnickens.
Your skin
Oh, we
sounds
love
slightly
Skiz.
like
He's the
Mickey
best.
Mouse, Scar.
I know, every accent I try to do. Like, here's my Canadian. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Please never again. Please.
I know, I won't.
Please.
Oh, gosh. All right, we'll go back to my zoo. I can get these to you, by the way, soon.
Oh,
Just need
good.
to find-
Good.
I think I know how to do it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lure, well, I'm going to put some boats just above a temple. I'm just going to hopefully lure them up, and then they can just get sucked into the boat, and then I can lead it, and it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, sounds easy, really. So it's not going to cost me too much money, right? Because it's so easy.
Oh, how many do you need?
3.
32 diamonds.
Oh yeah, no problem.
All right, schnuggins. Was
Hey.
that better?
Hey Scar, no, it wasn't better. But do you want to see Jimmy and Martin in a tube?
Yeah.
Great, come in
Wasn't
my window.
expecting that, but I'm excited now. Oh, jeez. Oh, I'm excited.
This is the aquarium room, and then right below is where I do all my messed up experiments.
Ooh, oh, dude, this is awesome.
Look, I've got him in a tube.
Look at them, they're little. They look like, I don't know why, they just look like, they look so cute. They look like little plushies. You just want to like squeeze them.
Yeah, they're just getting horrible experiments done on them. It's great.
Why is Jimmy like a couple pixels smaller than Martin?
You
Why does he look a
noticed.
little bit-
Gran didn't notice. You noticed.
He is like a
I
little
have made him
child.
a tiny bit smaller just to make him a bit angry later on.
He really is. He is a couple pixels smaller. Oh, that's really funny. Oh gosh. Ooh, this is really cool. So this is the science experiment lab.
Yeah. This is like the research. It's basically an old medieval fortress that was taken over to be turned into a sciencey area to do research on the monster that's in the water.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, the giant like mouth thing that freaks me out every time I've been in the water over here.
Yeah, that.
That thing is really scary, Gem.
Thanks.
Schnookins. Was that
All
better?
right. No, it's
Dang
not
it.
getting any
Okay.
better.
All right, Gem. All right. Thank you for the order. I will get that going very soon.
Yeah.
Schnookins.
That one was better. It was better.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna work on that more like the more deep down schnookins.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. See you, Gem.
I'll see you
Bye-bye.
around. Wonderful. Now that we have an order for an aquarium set in with the zoo, all we gotta do is wait for Scar to deliver and then decorate the rest of this room. That is going to be wonderful, and I do believe it's about all the time we have for this episode. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to see where our interior design takes us, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Oh, Scar's here. Hey, Scar. What doing?
Schnookins.
Yeah, no, that was the one for sure. You just stick with that.